Shalom, giving all praise to my Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh, by Yishem, Yahweh Shah, by Yishem, Wakahakudash. Double honors to the apostles and elders everywhere, and peace and many salutations to Yakan restored in His truth. Um, I've been just sitting back and just gathering information, as other brothers have too, about, the Charlie Kirk shooting, and even the Ukrainian woman stabbing. And there's some compelling arguments that what we could be seeing is all psyops. Um, Very plausible in the times that we're living in. We know AI is going to be used to deceive a lot of people. Although, with think about it is with AI, it's like you would have to, you know, um, you have to explain to the audience at this shooting here. You know what I'm saying? You have to explain that. In the eyewitnesses. Could he have, fake? Could they have faked him being unalive? It's possible. Even with the Ukrainian stabbing, could that been a psyops? Very plausible. We know, uh, that these various enchantments not going to work on us. But the biggest thing I wanted to convey is, although we see these psyops going on. People reaction is real, man. People. Uh, when I say people, you have these conservative Christians. They are upset at the fact that they are seemingly being attacked by the left, and you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you have been lumped into that category of uh, the whole extreme leftists. When you hear these conservatives speak, that they talk about, the gang violence going on, uh, in Chicago and other cities, right along with, transgenderism. So they're definitely painting the picture of the conservatives being victims, and people reaction to this is very real. And we're going to see a lot of people begin to act out, as things get progressively worse here in Babylon the Great. Not only, where there is this, heightened violence for political issues, happening here in the U.S., but you have, the economy doing substantially well. I mean, substantially worse. Excuse me, substantially worse. All this is a time bomb, to, you know, usher in, Jacob's trouble in the fall of this place, Babylon the Great. So, we do these sit downs to warn those who have ears to hear. Although, a lot of these things that we see can be dispelled, and a lot of conspiracy theories are coming out, which conspiracy theories has a negative connotation, but a conspiracy means somebody's came together to conspire to do something wickedly, and a theory, is basically, saying that, coming to and educate a guess that it's very possible that it happened. So the whole concept of conspiracy theory is not a bad thing. We know that Esau Edom uses conspiracy to usher in, various wars and movements throughout history. I mean, look at what happened in Vietnam. That was a false flag, man. Okay, we're here at 9/11. We all know what happened there, right? Right. You had an American ally country, that trained certain people to fly into buildings. Okay, all right. So conspiracy theories something that's, you know, that could very well be true, right? But what is the end game? The end game is, you know, Esau Edom pushing, you know, his propaganda, pushing, you know, his agenda for a reaction, for a solution. And seemingly, you know, Esau Edom is putting a plug on this place, Babylon the Great, man. You know, so we're definitely in some very serious times, right? And it behoove all of us to pay attention to the times that we're living in, because we've been preaching about this for quite a long time now, you know, and we're at the end, okay? So let's get some scriptures. Now, this is Matthew 16 and 13. Here Yahweh is speaking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees, you know, and they were asking to show him a sign in heaven, you know, of who he was, you know, and Yahweh gave them a very a clever and spiritual answer, you know, and this is the answer that we're giving people, okay? Now this is Matthew 16 and 1. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red, and in the morning it will be foul weather. Today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? Right? So here it is, you have people out there, they're so adamant about the next CT. I'm gonna just prove this, you know, this current event, you know, which, you know, hey, some like as I said, some CTs that, you know, hey, it is what it exactly that, you know, it is a psyops, right? But the overall pulse of America is what America is turning into, you know, a violent state, man. Right? It's getting very violent out here, and division among people is heightening, right? And these various reactions are gonna culminate to certain actions that's gonna happen. Okay, right? It's gonna get very, very serious out here, man. Right? And the average person does see these videos, you know, they laugh at them, make jokes. A lot of people just think everything's a damn joke. You know, especially with the whole Kirk situation. I'm not saying you should mourn from anything like that, but this is that was a very serious event, and most people, you know, either they're not empathetic about it, you know, they don't see it as, okay, this is serious, you know, you know, you got the left talking crap, they just talking shit, you know. I seen Amanda Seal talking shit, like she, you know, not discerning the times, just opening her damn mouth saying whatever the hell she want to say, not knowing she could be a target, right? And then you got people out there, they'll see the shooting, right, and automatically go to, oh, let's prove it, let's prove that it's wrong, instead of realizing, like, okay, these events are leading to something, right? They're leading to something. They're leading to a lockdown. They're leading to, you know, essentially 2nd Ezra 15 and 16. And most people, they don't have eyes to see what's going on, right? They don't see it. So a lot of people, they're gonna get caught out there when things, you know, finally get, you know, as terrible as we've been preaching, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's go to 2nd Ezra 15. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15. And we're gonna start at 14. 2nd Ezra 15 and 14. Woe to the world and them that draw therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Right? So what is this talking about? Just talking about civil unrest. And a picture is being painted, right, for these conservatives, you know, that they're in danger. You know, I was listening to conservative radio station. I don't know if it's syndicated, but it's down here in Texas. 93.3 is a talk conservative radio. And in the morning time, you had this one female. She was adamant about saying, as a conservative Christian, I don't feel safe. I just do not feel safe. Um, and that sentiment is growing amongst the conservatives, bro. Right now, the conservatives are who? These are the people who are pro gun, right? Pro, Edomite culture. We see Edomite culture is war, bro. What do you think's gonna happen as things get progressively worse, right? And more, and food is scarce out here. Because right now, what's stopping people is the fact that they're able to feed themselves, right? Right. What's gonna happen is, Jake is gonna get bunched in with these liberals, and they're gonna be blamed, chiefly the so-called Negro, right? And the Latinos too, as the bros out there in Chicago say, the Northern Tribe got it first, but Judah about to get it worse, man. Judah supposed to get a foot up their ass, bro. Right? Judah has been used as a mascot to push a lot of wicked agendas on the left hand side of Esau Edom, alluding to the Democrats, man. And Esau is fed up, right? So Jake out there that don't have that covering of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, and when things get crazy, they want to go out there and march and all this crap, and protest and act the fool, right? Esau, he don't gonna mow these people down, bro. It's supposed to get very serious out here, man. So just reiterating what we're bringing out, yes, there might be a solid psyops, but these reactions are about to be real deal Holyfield, man. Okay, verse 15: for the sword and the destruction draw nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right, so whoever they deem as right, that's exactly what they're gonna do. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Now you have Trump, issuing out the National Guard throughout the U.S. through the in the inner cities, right, in Jake dominant cities, and shutting them down. Okay, he's shutting them down. Right, this is going to heighten, and I believe through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahshua, what we see going on in Chicago, and DC, things of that nature, is just a shock test to see if they can mobilize, right? For a number of reasons, you got this situation going on in Venezuela, right? We're in the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America now, with Venezuela and in America. You have a substantial amount of Venezuelans over here, right? I truly believe that Ppl'S was brought into the equations here for you here in the U.S. dealing with these immigrants, because they're worried about certain sleeper cells to be activated. You know what I'm saying? In case of a major event, but that's just me speaking as a man. There's a lot of stuff going on, contemporarily speaking, or around this time speaking, what I'm saying, that's going to lead to something very, very, very hot and dire. And those who haven't been paying attention, they're going to get caught out there. If you don't have the spirit of Yahweh by Shemel Shah, you're going to get caught. Okay? You're going to get caught out there, man. Okay? It's about to get very serious out here. And people are going to be fighting amongst each other. Nation against nation. Okay? Right? Ideology against ideology. Okay? You so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're going to be used as pawns in a political war. You're already being used as one now. Okay? That's why it's important to be an outliner, right? You're not on either side, but you're on the side of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. And there's only going to be a elect group of a man that's going to have that covering. Okay? In the times that we are about to see very soon, things are heating up very quickly. You know, it's going to get very dire out here, man. All right? Back to it, verse 16. For there shall be a sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and man shall be afraid. Right? Right? Cities are going to be troubled. People's houses are going to be ransacked, man. Right? Destroyed, and man shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see that? So with lack of bread, because that lack of bread, right, people are going to be invading one another, right? And also if you read up in verse 16, there were seditions. So this is going to be happening. Rhetoric that calls for an upthrow. You know? That's what they're going to be calling for, man, in these streets. And a lot of people that are not paying attention. They're too caught up in, you know, disproving everything that's going on versus seeing what's going on. You know, because this country is moving to a very dire state. Right? The word dire means extreme. Right? It's moving to an extreme state. You know, and instead of paying attention, you know, people, you know, are trying to disprove what they see before them, right? I mean, what they see before them, yes, it could be a lie, but yet and still, there's a purpose behind the lie. Esau Edom is pushing his propaganda for a reason, right? And the propaganda is working. These spells are working, right? So if you're a Negro, Latino, Native American, it's very important that you are paying attention to what's going on. Okay, but the majority of these people, they're not going to pay attention to what's going on, right? They're too caught up in the lies, right, of Esau Edom, all trying to despair the lies of Esau Edom, right? Which the whole concept of the CT and things of that nature, and disproving CT with these podcasts and things of that nature. That's a part of his snare too, because a lot of these podcasts and things of that nature that you see before you, that you think is telling the truth, like guys like Alex Jones, things of that nature, they're controlled opposition, bro, to you know, engulf a certain emotion, you know, even with the far right or the far left, right, depending on what platform you're watching, right? The only true outliner is the spirit of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, right? Right? That's how you get out the matrix. Okay. Now this is Psalms 12:1. O Yahweh by Yeshem Yahushua, for the godly Slakia. Help Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. For the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from among the children of men. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. Right? Yahweh shall cut off a flattering lips, all flattering lips, and a tongue that speaketh proud things, who have said, with our tongues will we prevail. Our lips are our own. Who is Lord over us? So this is how Esau Edom rules, man. He rules with these flattering tongues, man. These tongues that engulf emotions, to lead people a certain way. The whole dichotomy of the left and the right. All that is, really from the beast, right? It's from the image of the beast, of the Western culture, man, right? Or Roman culture. Okay? So if you're so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, you shouldn't even worry about the whole left and right ideology. You should be worrying about the Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the truth, God of the Bible. Okay? Because if you're depending on the left versus right, you're going to be persuaded, down a very dangerous path, man, a path of destruction. Okay? Let me get this in Revelation 13. Now, this is Revelation 13. Let's see here. Revelation 13:11. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And those two horns, first off, the horns represents power. Those two horns represent the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, right? Which, Esau Edom utilizes to speak as a lamb. He speaks, as if he's for the people, for the public, with the sentiment of the right end versus the sentiment of the left, right? Esau Edom uses the left to push, civil rights, which civil rights was and giving us rights, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American rights, the true Israelites' rights. He was able to open up the door to sexual perversion. And now he's tied your plight, which that word plight means sad state. He ties your plight to the plight of somebody who's a sexual deviant, right? And also to socialism, right? These various, now people are taking on these ideologies to become degenerate plants, right? Right? Feminism, getting a woman out the house. The man out the house, excuse me, right? With all these social, these various social benefits, food stamps, dang on housing, child support, right? He did that methodically to do what? To destroy the family nucleus, in particular the so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native American family nucleus, the true Israelites family nucleus, so he could, basically be their parent, right? Thus, by what? The educational system, right? Then you had the right that catered to conservatism, really white Christian nationalism, okay? That condones violence, right? Not only here, but globally speaking. Look at the majority of so-called Christians, they're not Christians, so-called antichrists, as the apostle Tahar says, right? They're all for the BG that's going on in Gaza, and also the various campaigns that America and its associates have done throughout the world unrighteously, right? Stealing natural resources, putting sanctions on helpless countries like Cuba, like Venezuela, setting up coups, right? And they say, you know what, we had the right to do this because, we're Christians and, we're supposed to be ruling the world, with a new with the new Israelites, right? So he does all these things, right? On the left hand and on the right hand side, right? Speaking as a lamb, meaning he speaks as if he's harmless and he's for the people, to really push the agenda of the dragon, right? Which the dragon is basically the NATO and EU, right? I mean, who sit upon NATO and EU? You know, the great whore, Babylon the Great, aka America, man. Okay, right? And all this is to do what? To induce the people to worship, right, the image of the beast. Okay, verse 12, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Right, which is going into Rome. Right, and Rome was revived here in Babylon the Great. So just as Rome uses lies and uses bread and circus to deceive the people, and these various political parties to deceive the people, he's doing it now, right? And again, the only way that you can escape the grip of this man's ideologies or spells is coming back to the Heavenly Father. If you are a true Israelite, which is not a skin tone thing, if what I'm saying resonates with you, right, you do more research and it makes sense, you could very well be an Israelite, right? This thing's bigger than a phenotype thing, more nuanced than that. It's a nationality thing, okay? Right? Whoever have ears to hear, let them hear, right? Okay, let's go back to Psalms, the 12th chapter. Psalms 3, 12 and 3. Yahweh shall cut off all flattering lips and the tongue that speaketh proud things. Who have said, with our tongues we will prevail, our lips are our own. Who is Lord of us? For the oppression of the poor, for the oppression of the poor, for the sighting of the needy. Now will I arise, saith Yahweh. I will set him in safety from him that puffeth at him. And that word puffeth, when you look it up, it means basically sneer at him. Like, look at this guy, right? And that's what Esau even does to us, right? We'll call on the name of Yahweh by Shema Shah, so we could be aware of this man's lies. Not only that, and also we can have a covering from the actions that this man is going to ignite with his lies, with his spells, man. All right. So yes, there's a psyops going on, but these reactions of people are very real. Right. Right. Whoever have ears to hear, let them hear. Okay. Shalom.